welcome to SVG TV's news for Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. Over 200 students from across St. Vincent and the Grenadines were recognized today for their sterling contribution to the school's cooperative thrift program at an awards ceremony held under the theme 43 Years and Counting. In his welcoming address, Registrar of the Cooperatives in SVG, Patterson Homer, says the division set out to encourage the students to save about $400,000 for this year, and within the first 6 months from January to June, the students surpassed the figure and have already saved $434,000.
In fact, the school cooperative thrift program is the in thing. You know, this thing is so in that some teachers are getting jealous, and teachers are now members of the school cooperative program. Further to this, parents have shown interest in becoming members of this program, and we are not going to deny anyone who can use the services of the school cooperative thrift program. Now, when we speak of close to 13,028 students as members of the school co-op, this is big business we're talking about. Isn't that so? Furthermore, when we talk about $2.5 million saved by students, this is big business. Now, I'm not calling names, but if we can realize that there are students who have over close to $30,000 saved in the school cooperative program. What do you say about this? Let me give them a round of applause, man.
Homer says the cooperative division cannot take all the praise for the achievement with the school's cooperative thrift program, as the credit union movement has been a major support. He says at their 40th anniversary celebration, they were awarding just first and second place savers. However, at a planning meeting, they decided to add a third place savers to the list of those who will be recognized this year.
The students here today are students, 3 top students from the various schools who would have saved. And I really want to thank the credit union movement for supporting that we expand not only first and second, but most time you hear in school who come first, who come second, who come third. So today we'll be awarding first, second, and third place savers in all of the schools in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Further to this, the last time we met in 2019, we selected 5 of the top saving schools. Today, we'll be recognizing and we'll be awarding 5 more. So 10 schools will be awarded for their stalwart contribution towards the school cooperative program. Now, you heard me mention a while ago that, that our goal was $400,000 from January to June. We have then revised this total upward to about 600,000. And mind you, we are not too far from that. By December, whenever school closes, I'm confident we will be just over $600,000 saved in this year alone. The students are doing well.
Homer also told the gathering there is a whole range of programs in place for the school savers in the fiscal year 2023.
And there's a whole range of programs that we plan for the fiscal year 2023. And one of them is this. I will just select this one. We are hoping to deliver 24 hours cooperative training in 6 selected secondary schools. So we'll be selecting these secondary schools, and part of their social studies syllabus for, not CX anymore, it is CSEC. CSEC, we, the staff, and other partners, the credit union sponsors, we will be going into these secondary schools and deliver, I don't even want to say training, we use the term lecture in cooperative education. So these are some of the programs, briefly, that we have in store for the next year. I'm really thrilled. I'm happy, and you the students, you the teacher guides, you the parents who are supporting this program, I really want to thank you.
The award for the most outstanding school saver for 2022 went to Kathleen Balcom of the Georgetown Government School. A government delegation from Morocco is currently on island discussing with the local government officials how they can strengthen the relationship between both countries. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Afghan Savs, who during his weekly appearance on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program says the delegation of the government of Morocco, headed by its Director of International Development, is seeking to negotiate a roadmap to strengthen its partnership with SVG over the next 3 to 5 years.
And we have made progress. I had them for breakfast yesterday at the residence, where I had a near 2-hour meeting with them. And then I had them meet officials on Monday and yesterday, and I also brought them to my office. So I'll have each of the relevant ministers meet with them as they leave the cabinet room, go to that meeting now.
Okay.
Then I had them for lunch, and I had a little debriefing with them after lunch. But I'll have the final conversation today. There are 1 or 2 items which I want to firm up, and we are proceeding fairly well. The plan is to see if we could finalize it, and then I'll probably go to Morocco for a visit, and now at the political level to sign off now, sometime before the end of the year.
PM Gonsalves says the negotiation with the Moroccan delegation is also good news for farmers across St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It normally gives annually 160 tons of fertilizer of different types. Well, we are going to get from next year 500 tons, which would be 10,000 sacks of fertilizer.
Yes.
You know, we are having now delivering from under the Petro-Carib agreement from Venezuela 40,100 pound sacks of urea. And Sabota and the Ministry of Agriculture are dealing with that. You know, it would mean essentially that next year, once we finalize this with the Moroccans and everything is on target, there'd be no farmer would be spending money on fertilizer next year, or hardly any expenditure would be done by them individually on fertilizer.
Okay.
Which is a big boost to them, because you know that's a big cost.
The Prime Minister says he is also hoping to have about 20 fully funded university scholarships for Vincentians next year, as well as support for technical vocational education from Morocco. CSEC and CXC payments, and Prime Minister Gonsalves says there is no student in SVG in need of assistance to pay his or her registration fees for the CSEC and CAPE examinations and are not getting the support to do so. The Prime Minister says assistance are being provided through the Social Development Program in the Ministry of National Mobilization and the NLA program, noting that his government is addressing the problem in a sensible, creative manner to get the desired results to help those who have challenges making their payments.
You can't send a material list which amount building an entire house for you. You know, Johnny B?
Yes.
How could somebody send a material list which would amount to $60,000, $50,000, $40,000, $30,000? It's not reasonable, Johnny B. The government cannot build free houses for everybody. So I want to urge that when they're making the request, make a request which is reasonable now. And remember this, that we have some bad cases throughout the country. It is understandable that because of the volcanic eruptions, that we have to focus on the red zone and the orange zone.
Persons seeking materials from the government to help with house repairs, particularly in the red and orange zones, are being urged to make a request that is reasonable. This from Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Kensavs, who on radio today said they have already started the distribution of some building materials for affected homeowners in these areas. The Prime Minister says he is hoping that soon they can resume the generalized distribution of building materials and urge persons outside of the red and orange zones to be a little more patient. In other news, 2 new market facilities in capital Kingston will be open tomorrow morning following a ceremony at the Queen's Warehouse opposite CK Graves. The ceremony is expected to begin at 9 a.m. In recent weeks, a number of vendors, particularly street vendors in Kingston, have been complaining about steps being taken to get them off the streets. However, on radio yesterday, Warden of the Kingston Town Board, Clayton Bergen, says they have to be more understanding as the government moves to clean up the city and regularize vending.
For you, the government finds accommodation for you. You must occupy those accommodation, you know. And you're hearing the talk about, well, nobody would come. Now, then, you know, if you doing business and everybody occupy a certain space, people would come there because there is no other alternative but to come there, you know. So when the market is occupied, you know, how they are going to those who are in the market presently? They are going to persons who are in the market presently. So you can't use that as an excuse to say that nobody would come to you and them thing, you know. And if you have your customer, you just got to tell them where you are. Because you have a set of persons who would come specifically, whether every day or every other day or whenever, they would come to you. So you tell them, I am now located in this place. I am back into the central market, you know, and I'm at the second floor, the first floor, the third floor. You know, and persons would come, and since nobody on the street and I want the produce, I have to go where it is being sold. It's the same like when you go to a shop and a supermarket in a village, the shop don't come out and walk about with the shop people and walk about with the thing. You have to go there. You have to go to the shop. You have to go to the shop.
Bergen noted that when the first tourism cruise ship for the season came in, he was contacted by tourism officials who informed him that the review received from some of the visitors was that while Kingston is lovely, it is not clean.
Well, me and you, it's nasty. And they specifically refer to along the same area by area, that street going down there, you know, how the thing looks so shabby and those sort of things, you know, and we have to depend on the tourists and the tourist dollar, you know, and everyone, they think that it is easy, you know, to get tourists to come here, but it's a lot of hard work. You have to go out there and convince persons that you have the right product, you know, and if St. Vincent is a natural place to be, let's keep it that way. You know, we can't eat our cake and have it at the same time. And as I stated before, we have to give and take. You know, and you got to know that not you alone want to ply your trade, other persons.
The town board warden says they will have their security personnel in place along with support from the police to ensure the new measures being put in place to clean up the city and regularize vending are adhered to.
We probably try to resist anything, you know, you ask, so the line horsemen from the police to tell them to help them move.
We hope it doesn't get to that.
Well, that is why I say we hope it won't, because, and some area will put up no vending so that people know, and we're asking some of the business people, they can do the same thing when we play the thing, yes, no vending, and but it's something that would be policed constantly, and since we have security, so it's not like you just have your store and then you leave it there for a while, the security at the tongue board would be constant, persons always, because they have to walk the street and tell us some of the difficulties that they're encountering now. They notice someone who wasn't at some place set up something there. Then we'll have to tell that person that they have to So going forward, we have our security persons who would be policing the street to ensure that, no one return where persons have moved. And I'm sending out the notice now, and I'll do so again on Thursday, that don't come and ask for no vending space because no vending space available. So if you never vend in the town before and so on, don't come, because you're moving persons off the street, so there would be no place for other persons.
Police here are investigating a killing in Mount Pleasant in the Mesopotamia Valley this morning. According to reports, farmer Hilton Gregory Thomas was involved in a dispute with another farmer, resulting in him being chopped about his body and later succumbed to his injuries. The incident reportedly occurred around 1 a.m. We will bring you more on this story as further information comes to hand. Opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday says SVG's tourism products need much improvement, and the authorities must find ways not to only attract big cruise ships but encourage visitors to spend while on island. Dr. Friday was speaking on the issues of tourism development on Nice Radio's Current Affairs program last evening.
Find places for them to go so that they would, I use the phrase, I say max out the credit card and basically spend everything they have in their wallet. That's what you really want, because it means that they're getting something for value because they're enjoying themselves, they're buying things to take back. But also, we make something from it here. And one of the things that historically has been a problem for us is that in terms of the spending of the crew who comes ashore, because the crew is also part of tourism, they come in and they buy things for the family. And then also for the tourists themselves, the visitors, they traditionally have spent less in St. Vincent and the Grenadines than in most of the other countries in the Caribbean. So our capita earning from each of those persons is less. And that is something that we have to change if we're going to benefit from cruise tourism. Because the real benefit to us is not just in the head tax that the government collects up front, but in the tours that they do, the way in which how they buy things, and the restaurant they might stop by, even though they have their food on board when they go back, they might still be tempted to go and sit down somewhere and have a beer. Those are the kinds of things that benefit us from cruise tourism.
The opposition leader says SVG's tourism product is currently underdeveloped with a lot of potential for growth.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine today who has expertise in the tourism sector. And, we talk about how the tourists, what they see when they come, how do we sell and market ourselves, and what exactly do they look forward to when they come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. That is something that we haven't quite figured out yet as to how we market it. And we are a destination, as Ian and I discussed. That is, we don't have it's not a one destination. This country is so diverse because of our geographic nature. We are an archipelago stretching from all the way down in Union Island up to the top of mainland, with so many islands in between. We have different types of tourism. In Mustique and Canawan, a different kind of tourism. Bequia and Union Island, a different kind of tourism. We have yacht tourism, sailing tourism, cruise tourism. We have tourism on the mainland, which is, we have business tourism. You have, we're hoping to develop a more diverse product on the mainland. So you have wellness tourism and ecotourism. And all the various things that we still are at the beginning stage. And we are not quite defining how we want to develop this potential that we have, who is going to do the development, because the government can't do it. Let's face it. Government doesn't have the money. You can't borrow the money to go and invest in those things all the time, because you're just going to be digging a hole to fill a hole.
According to Dr. Friday, opportunities must also be provided to local investors who have the capacity to expand their operation.
We have hotel plants here. If you have 50, 30 or 40 rooms, encourage and give them opportunities to add another 10 or 20 so that they can expand and benefit from what I believe is one of the best tourism product anywhere in the world, in the Caribbean definitely, because we are so diverse. And that is something that's not quite developed, and we haven't decided yet how we're going to market ourselves. You know, what is this in Vincent to discover? What exactly are we going to be selling to people to discover? When we go abroad and we talk about St. Vincent and Grenadines, what do we leave the impression that we leave with a potential tourist as to say, well, boy, I have to go visit that place? How are we marketing it? And that is something that we have to get right, otherwise we will continue to languish at the bottom, and we will not realize the full potential of this the tourism product that we have. And it's not the only economic activity for us, but it is a vitally important part because you have direct foreign investment. There's no intermediaries.
Many entrepreneurs across St. Vincent and the Grenadines are happy for the full reopening of the 2022-2023 tourism season after the government relaxed COVID-19 health guidelines to welcome unvaccinated cruise passengers to the destination for the first time in 2 years. On a media tour to the Southern Grenadines last Friday, hosted by the Ministry of Tourism as part of the activities to mark Tourism Month, SVG TV's Nashika Hope spoke with an entrepreneur on Salt Whistle Bay, Miro, about his expectation for the season. We have more in this report.
Most of my thing, I really like to interact with tourists. It's my favorite, and they have to bring in the income into the island. So you have to appreciate them, treat them well, welcome them, show them around, and things like that.
Iselin Ford, who plies her trade at the famous Salt Whistle Bay on Miro in the Southern Grenadines, says she is happy for the full reopening of the tourist season this year, as she was badly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Ford is a very creative entrepreneur who has been in business for 14 years now.
I wasn't working for the past time when the pandemic was out. I wasn't working because no income was coming in, and just stay home. It's a lucky thing I save a little on my account so that I could repent until whenever the tourist season started.
The 56-year-old single mother sells handmade wraps, necklaces, and other items.
Dresses and t-shirts and shirts, short pants, jewelry, things, and a little bar at the side as usual.
Ford said tourists likes her crafts, but she is working on mixing things up, as a lot of the items being sold are similar.
At the time, most of the time they will say have good stuff, and like most of everybody have the same, and if we like to get something else different in between of what we are selling and things like that. So some people will go out and look for different items and things to bring in between whatever, so that we all will have the same stuff. Most everywhere they go, they're seeing everything almost the same. So they want to see everything almost, they want to see something different in between.
Like many in the industry, Ford is hoping for a good tourist season 2022 to 2023.
I like to see the best, no fighting, no stealing, no robbery, nothing and things like that, and everybody get unite as one another and come together and make things well.
Reporting for SVG TV News, I am Nashika Hope.
Barrouallie residents, particularly blackfish vendors, have been told that they can now look forward to a new facility to ply their trade. This from Chief Fisheries Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, Jennifer Cruikshank Howard, who was at the time addressing an award ceremony hosted last Saturday by the Barrouallie Fisheries Development Corporation to recognize the contribution of some fishermen in the community.
We have the Barrouallie Fisheries Enhancement Project that should have started 2 years ago, but because of COVID, there was a setback. And in early next year, well, they are saying to me that they will commence in December, but I will say early next year, there will be a blackfish facilities here in Barrouallie for the blackfish fishers. This has been long in coming. I remember when we had the original shed that was burnt recently, persons were saying to me, this is not adequate, this is not adequate, we can't do much here. I listened, and with the help of the former area representative, Sir Louis Straker, we were able to come up with a project to assist the blackfish fishers in Barrouallie.